Hi, it's Sally-Shakti, Star Priestess and Visionary Writing Guide, and welcome to Tarot and Astrology for Visionary Writers for this Cancer New Moon in July 2024. And if you are feeling super internal at the moment, that is to be expected. We have currently 5 planets in water signs. So we have Sun, Mercury and Venus in the sign of Cancer. We have Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Pisces. Now, both Saturn and Neptune are going to be retrograde at the time of the Cancer new moon. Saturn went retrograde on Saturday just gone, and Neptune goes retrograde tomorrow on Tuesday, the 2nd of July. So by the time of the Cancer new moon on Friday, the 5th of July, both of those planets will be retrograde in the water sign of Pisces. We'll also have another change because Mercury is speeding ahead and will have moved into the sign of Leo. That's happening also tomorrow on Tuesday, the 2nd of July. So by the time of the Cancer new moon, Mercury will be in the sign of Leo and will be opposing retrograde Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. So for visionary writers, what we have been wanting to move ahead with, Mercury is moving very fast at the moment, which means also that very soon Mercury is going to end up retrograde and coming back to meet up with the sun again, as the sun is making its slower journey through signs of Cancer and Leo. So Mercury will be retrograde in Leo in, let's see when that starts, just at the beginning of August, 5th of August. So a month after the Cancer new moon and around the time of the Leo new moon, that is when Mercury will begin to go retrograde in the sign of Leo. So at the moment, as visionary writers, we have Mercury, who is really quite still fresh from its journey through the sign of Gemini, where it was really picking up that desire to communicate. Jupiter is still in the sign of Gemini, so we have that strong, powerful energy of expansion through our communication, which is going to be with us for the next year as Jupiter remains in the sign of Gemini. Mercury is fast from its journey through Gemini and has been really quick to move through the sign of Cancer. So Mercury is now in the final degrees of Cancer and will be moving into Leo and opposite to opposing retrograde Pluto in Aquarius. So Mercury, for us as visionary writers and creatives, has been driving us forward, driving forward our desire to communicate, our desire to, through Gemini, our desire to communicate with others, to share our ideas, especially with Jupiter there as well. We have this sense of our passions, our purpose, our learning, what we know, what we've discovered. We want to discover through writing, talking, communicating, reading. And then as Mercury has journeyed very quickly through the sign of Cancer, we maybe have wanted to share more of our emotions, more of our feelings, more of our inner world. As Mercury, and I'm reminded of the cards I drew yesterday from the Beyond Lemuria card deck around sharing our vulnerability. And for me, what was coming up, and perhaps collectively too, the sharing our vulnerability is what will help to open and heal our throat chakras. And that has been part of this journey of Mercury in the sign of Cancer. Now Mercury is moving forward into the sign of Leo. And in Leo, we connect with the energy of self-expression, playful creativity. In Leo, we want to express our truth. We want to express ourselves fully, and we want to express through our creative playfulness. So Mercury will be carrying a strong drive for self-expression through the sign of Leo, but But in the first degrees, in this week, in this new moon week, Mercury will be checked in its self-expression through Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, asking us to check in on the alchemy that is needed. What is the communication that will best be of service to the collective? How can we communicate ourself, our truth, our expression, our creativity as visionary writers and creatives? How can we fully express ourselves in the ways that are of most benefit for the alchemy, the healing, and the transformation of the collective? That is Pluto in Aquarius. And that's a question that's strong with me, as we are also reaching this midpoint, where we've just reached the midpoint of the year. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, we have just had the summer solstice. It's a really potent mid-year check-in point. That summer solstice energy being similar in frequency to and similar in potency and how we experience it to a full moon. We had the we had the peak sun and the peak moon. We had the full moon in Capricorn, and we had the peak sun at the summer solstice. This is the peak time of our year here in the Northern Hemisphere for checking in with what have we manifested since those darker dreaming days of the winter, through the rising and the culmination of the peak energy of this year. Often with a full moon and with the energy of the summer solstice, we may also experience a sense of tension or frustration around what we have not yet achieved or accomplished. It's always really important to look at what we have achieved and accomplished, and to allow ourselves time to celebrate and even take some downtime to rest and recover from what we have achieved and accomplished. Because I know as visionaries that we can always be looking for the next result, the next achievement, the next thing on the horizon. And it's really important that we come back to our bodies, especially around this time of the Cancer new moon, to really, really rest back into self-care and self-love and nourishment. These are all Cancer themes. When the sun and the moon meet together in Cancer on Friday, we will have both the sun and the moon conjunct in the sign of Cancer. And when I look at the chart for the for that solar event, they are also both in the fourth house collectively. So we have a strong desire to return to our roots, to return to our nest, to curl up and withdraw from the world, and to give ourselves time for self-nourishment, self-care, self-love, some downtime away from the rest of the world. So we have this tension in play. We've got Mercury in Leo wanting to move forward, wanting to create and self-express. We have the checking point with Pluto in Aquarius that is asking us to check in. How can we best express ourselves in ways that are most healing for the alchemical transformation of ourselves and the collective? And then we have this nurture point, this check-in point. First of all, can we celebrate what we have already achieved and accomplished through the growing seasons of this year? And can we then take a step back, take some downtime to process, to rest and digest, and to withdraw our energy from the world, even if just for a moment, even if just for the 3 to 4 days of this new moon in Cancer energy, so that we can regenerate, replenish, and repair, and be reborn again with the energy of that new moon. So also on the chart for this Cancer new moon, we have Pisces is going to be the rising sign. So again, this is a strong energy of water that is very, very much potent in our charts and in our collective and in our lives. It is time to really be in the flow, to nourish ourselves, to take some time to dream in what is yet to come for the second half of the year, and to take stock at this point of what needs to be released. That is Saturn in Pisces, closing out karma. What is ready to be released so that we can start a new trajectory as we are reborn and as we learn through experience and through discovery, through creativity, through process, new ways of showing up in the world that are more nourishing, both for ourselves and for the collective. This is what is really being asked of us at this Cancer new moon. This Cancer new moon also sits midway between two Capricorn full moons, which is very unusual. I want to break that down a little bit. First of all, the Cancer new moon is occurring at 14 degrees and 23 minutes of Cancer. That is more or less the midway point of the sign of Cancer. The midway is usually 15 degrees. So we're right there on the cusp of that midway point of the sign of Cancer. Now, I take that midpoint, 15 degrees of Cancer, which is then opposite on an axis with 15 degrees of Capricorn, that being the ancestral healing axis. So we have this new moon occurring on the ancestral healing axis of our collective chart, of our collective energy. And that is being flanked or bookended by two full moons in Capricorn, which also have this very strong ancestral healing energy. So why do we have two full moons in Capricorn? Our lunar cycle has been reversed for about the last 18 months or so. So you may have noticed that instead of having the new moon first, we have had the full moon in the very early degrees of its sign, followed by the new moon in the mid degrees of the sign. Usually, our usual kind of normal pattern, if you can call it that, is to have the new moon in the early degrees of a sign, followed by the full moon at the mid to late degrees of the sign. So what happens then is, as we know, we release and let go of the old cycles at the dark moon. We set our seeds for intention at the new moon, and we allow them to grow as we nurture them through the growing cycle to the full moon. When at the full moon, we reach the culmination, and then we begin to discern what of this cycle we wish to carry forward and what we wish to let go at the next dark moon. That is our usual cycle. That is the cycle that we tend to work with most prominently and in its most aligned form. The last 18 months or so, our lunar cycle has been reversed. So we've had the full moon in the early degrees of a sign, followed by the new moon later, which has meant that we've had more of an energy of tension as the full moon reaches its culmination and is much more focused on what is ready to be shed and released as we wane down to the dark moon and new moon energies. This Cancer new moon is a midpoint of the year and a midpoint, a turning point in our cycle, because we had the Capricorn full moon in the very early degrees of Capricorn when the sun had just entered the sign of Cancer and the moon was early in the sign of Capricorn. We had that Capricorn full moon back in June just after the summer solstice. Project that a month forward, and we will have another full moon in Capricorn, in the late degrees of Capricorn, just as the sun is leaving the sign of Cancer. So 21st of June, 21st, 22nd of June, and 21st of July, we are having 2 full moons in Capricorn, and in between both of those is the new moon in Cancer. We've got this new moon in Cancer aligned on the ancestral healing axis. We've got 2 full moons in Capricorn, bringing in a strong ancestral healing energy. So we get a reset. We get to reset back into our organic rhythm of sowing the seeds, nurturing the growth, and then experiencing the culmination and the release. We're going back into that organic cycle for the second half of this year. But we're also being invited during Cancer season, which is as I said, the whole of Cancer season is bookended by these 2 full moons in Capricorn with the new moon in Cancer in the middle. So the whole of Cancer season really is inviting us into a deep, reflective time of ancestral healing. So, and especially with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, we've also got Neptune in the final degrees of Pisces, both of those planets being retrograde, as I mentioned earlier, and both of those planets being on the ascendant, being the rising signs, the dominant energy of this new moon in Cancer. We are strongly being asked to feel and allow through our bodies what needs to be released from a deep ancestral pathway. Now, our ancestors are not only in the past, we have ancestors of our past, present, and future. Many people now, rightly so, are talking about how to become good ancestors. And those people are not the first, because our good ancestors were talking about how to be good ancestors. How do we leave this world in a better state than we found it for those who are yet to come? This Cancer new moon is strong in that energy, because we can withdraw from the world for a moment and take some time to reflect. We might even want to prepare a ritual with water where we can look onto the surface of the water, look into the surface of the water, and see what we are guided to see what messages open up for us. Because we have this profound opportunity to tune in to what we are being deeply guided towards by our ancestors, those of our past, present, and future, those who are wishing us onwards and calling us forwards, those whose stories we have held and that are no longer in service of what we are creating for our future ancestors. We have a strong opportunity with this new moon to reflect, to use water as a tool of reflection and of cleansing, to help us to heal and let go and release, even through tears, even through our bodies, even through a sauna, through sweating it out. We have these tools that we can use that are ancient, that will help us to reflect on how to release what no longer serves us from the past and adjust our trajectory so that we can be of service in co-creating the future that we want to see and that we want to leave to our future ancestors, to those who come after us, to those for whom this world is being created. And so this Cancer full moon really invites us into that opportunity. Of course, journaling can be a profound mirror for the soul. When we turn to the page and we have the courage to truly meet ourselves as we are, journaling can really support our process as we move through this Cancer new moon season and reflect on, what am I ready to release from the past that no longer serves me? What am I becoming that I am proud to be? What can I do that truly nurtures myself and those around me, my community? How can I use my visionary writing and creativity to speak my truth in ways that deepen the possibility for alchemy of the collective? And what is my new way forward? What are my future ancestors calling me to become? Perhaps future ancestors, perhaps we use that reflective surface of the water or the page to step into alignment with our higher self, our higher selves. What is the next version of you that is calling you forward to become more of who you truly are? So this Cancer full moon can be a powerful and potent time for self-reflection. We can use water for reflection, for oracling and divination, for cleansing and healing and washing away. We can use our journal page for the same processes. And you can even, I'm just visualizing a ritual where we write these things out on the page and then we wash the page off with water and see what that creates. This is a deep time. The Cancer new moon is a deep time for internal processing, internal reflection. We're being guided by Saturn in Pisces to release what no longer serves us from the past. Perhaps what our ancestors may have carried and we have inherited, but that is no longer fit for purpose as we create a new world for those who are yet to come. And this Cancer new moon is a strong invitation to look within ourselves and to be guided by our highest, guided by our souls, our spirit guides, our visionary writing guides, our ancestors, those who are beyond the veil, so that we can then, through those processes of introspection and reflection, realign ourselves on a new future trajectory to become the best of who we truly are. As Mercury then pulls forward beyond that opposition with Pluto in Aquarius, we will receive new downloads, new information, new wisdom as to how our creative self-expression can be best used in service for the world that we are here to co-create. We may find that with this Mercury retrograde in the sign of Leo, we need to go back over that before we can then fully and finally move forward. So this is a time of really, really powerful internal reflection and potent realignment with the next level of who we are becoming, so that together we can co-create the world that we truly desire to live in and desire to leave for those who are yet to come. So, what is our message from the tarot deck for this Cancer new moon, July 2024? So interesting. It's the Nine of Swords. Okay, so here we are, and we don't need to be afraid of the Nine of Swords. It's showing us that this is our time to reflect on those old narratives, and remembering as well to check in with ourselves. Is this story that I'm telling myself true? Or is it an old narrative that I've inherited from my culture, from my education, from those who were not able to support me in my growth in ways that were spiritually aligned. Checking in with those narratives. Is this true? Is this story real? Is this story true for me? Or is it a narrative that I have been carrying that I no longer wish to hold literally in my cells, my DNA, my vibration, my frequency, my behaviors, my beliefs? And then we can use the journaling page, the water, to let it go, to move it through our bodies and to put it down onto the page, so that when we get that clarity from Mercury in Leo, we will be ready to move forward and work with our visionary writing and creativity more fully aligned in service of the collective. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. I really appreciate our connections. Thank you for your time and your comments, and for reaching out to me. I really, really appreciate all of that. Since the last video, I have published my book, Writing and Thriving, Wellbeing Tips and what is it called? Writing Tips and Wellbeing Tricks for Visionary Writers. And I will be dropping a link for that as soon as it's available for you to go and grab on Amazon and via my website and elsewhere. That link is not ready yet, but I'll drop that when it is. And I've also published a multi-authored book, a co-authored book called Manifesting Magical Moments. That book is available via Amazon, and I will drop the link for that. And that book is currently #1 best-selling title in categories such as miracles and spirituality. So I would love you to grab your copy of that and really be nourished by the profound and transformative stories of 18 authors who explore what it means to manifest magic in the ordinary, in our ordinary daily lives. It's I've read every single story in the book. I was also the developmental editor, so I've worked on every story with every author, and I can really tell you that that is a profound and nourishing gift. So if you're looking for some extra nourishment through this Cancer new moon, I really recommend that you go and check that out and take in a few of those stories that will really connect on a heart and soul level with where you are, wherever you are, because there's a whole mix of stories there from a whole wide range of different people. So I'm sending you lots of love, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.